I went from flip-flops to 6-inch stilettos. Like,
and then 8-inch stilettos.
Yeah. So it was rough. My feet hurt a lot and it was a pain in the ass. And now I could probably run faster in my stilettos than my flip-flops, if I'm being honest.
Boss bitch. Boss bitch.
Hi, guys. We're going to be doing a competition wrap-up because we had 7 athletes that competed this past weekend. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on Boss Bitch Radio. Welcome to the show with my lovely co-host, Amanda.
Glitters.
Amanda Glitters. So this show was an NPC show, and it was put on by Spectrum Fitness Productions, which we are loyal to. We love taking our athletes to.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons is because it's close by. It's the first show I ever competed in was with John and through Spectrum.
Okay.
I've done many of their shows. And also Miss Sandy Williamson
Is the head judge.
Yeah. So we like to go there because if, we have girls that want to get in front of Sandy for nationals, it's always great because she's there and we get feedback.
The more they see you, the more they know you.
Yeah.
The more they like you.
Yeah. So we had 1 figure girl and 6 bikini girls.
One that was wellness that changed to bikini, 3 weeks before show?
Yes.
Love that.
And then I also forgot I had a total of 8.
Right.
6, 7, 8, because I did have a client competing in Arizona. So she was also competing.
Yeah. Out of town.
Yeah.
Bikini.
Yeah. Stephanie. Yeah. So jam-packed weekend and everybody was their usual, excited, nervous, some repeat competitors, some
Oh my gosh.
first time. Who was first time?
Shelby Anna.
And yeah, that was it.
That's it. Everybody else.
The rest of my girls have all competed before.
Yeah.
So we had our most mature athlete, Miss Insta Awesome.
Yeah.
In 55 and over. It was also her birthday. So that was a cool treat for her to win 55 and over.
I feel like that was a treat for us too.
Yeah, it was great. And she did fantastic. And then we had, Erica, who was in bikini, who's 47. So she was in the masters divisions. And then Danielle and Stephanie were in masters bikini as well. And everybody, Kaylin,
Shelby Anna,
Sabrina was in figure. Everybody placed, which was wonderful.
So good.
Yeah, everybody got top 5. So that's nice. I do feel like it was a littler show.
Yeah.
It wasn't the biggest show and it wasn't the smallest show. It was like a schmedium show.
Schmedium. Okay, so I think the largest class was 45 or 35 and over?
I think it was 45 and over, masters.
And there was probably, I would say, 14 ladies.
You think? I was thinking maybe no, yeah, you're probably right.
Maybe 7 on each side.
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
Yeah.
Maybe 16.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful looking athletes. Some girls that look like they just really need to go to nationals, right?
Obviously they won.
They're ready to go.
There was this really cute little Chiquita. I wish I knew what her name was, but she won the overall. And I was like, yeah, girl, you're ready. Mm-hmm. Go to nationals.
Yeah. So that was fun. We were talking about one of our athletes who transitioned from wellness last year. She competed in this show. She did really well last year in wellness. And then we kind of switched her to bikini at the last minute. And I was like, hey, Dee, let's try this pose. And she's like, huh? So we did it and she did great. She got top 3 almost, I think, in every
category. Yeah, pretty much. She did really great.
Yeah.
So that goes to show that things can change at any point.
Mm-hmm. We had a little conundrum with the tanning situation. So I typically, I do glue and glaze probably more than most coaches do, I feel like.
Yeah.
But usually, if there's somebody from the company that I trust that we get tanned by, I leave it to them. But I do have this nitpicky situation about the tan and the glaze.
Right.
So it ended up that we didn't have our tanning people backstage. So Yosoi was the glazer.
I mean, I feel like I only feel comfortable when you glaze me anyways.
And I created a bad habit for y'all.
Yeah,
because
you sure did.
Because Tina's told me that before. I only want you glazing me. And I'm like, oh, yay. So that was great. Their tans and their glaze looked
the best
out of everybody on stage.
Yeah, it was unreal. It was great.
Yeah. So they really popped on stage. So it looked really, really good. If you look at our pictures and everybody looks very glazy and greasy, that's because
on purpose.
I was back there lubing them all
Olive oil.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty close. Yeah. So we did great. Everybody had a great time. And we have some of these girls that are going to go into July. The July show in 4 weeks. So now they're 4 weeks out again.
How do we feel about that? How do we feel about back-to-back shows?
I think 4 weeks is doable.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you know what? Okay. So along these lines, I've like been in like the archives of my photos, right? Because it's like prep time. And this is when I competed the last couple of years. I did July and then I didn't go again until August.
So you had a month in between.
I did May, June, and then August.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. I would never want to do that.
You did that to me.
I've done that. I think I've done that 1 year. And I was like, oh, you'll be fine, right?
But yeah, no, I think 4 weeks is easy. I think anything more than that is probably a little bit more tough.
Definitely.
So unless like you're have will of steel and you can maintain that.
Yeah,
I do not.
I feel like it's hard, at least I feel like personally, like if they're back to back, because then you try to do 2 peak weeks and it's always like, one is not going to be.
And then the next week.
Yeah.
So like the girls that competed this last week that are going to nationals, they're doing another peak week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that takes a little reworking as a coach. I mean, it's figure outable, especially if you're already ready. Right. Like you're already lean and, and you don't lose your shit post show. And we have like a structured meal that you have after your show where it's like, go celebrate with your family, but you can have like a steak and potato or,
something that's still kind of
chicken and rice or something.
Healthy.
Yeah. It's
not like macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. It's not going to be mac and cheeseburger, but yeah. So you have to keep it together. So it can be challenging mentally because you want to just be done and like put that behind you.
Right.
Especially if you had a really tough prep and you didn't have a great peak week where you were like eating into your show.
Yeah.
Which usually never happens for me.
I never eat into show.
Yeah. So I think, those are challenging, but I don't know. I think anything more than 4 weeks, like you do a show and then you want to compete 4 weeks later, it gets to be really mentally taxing.
Yeah.
Unless you're reverse dieting into the show, which is you're still fucking hungry, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I love that. I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah. I also feel like probably just good to say here and, take this with a grain of salt, anyone that's listening, but let's say you did the June show and you got feedback and your feedback is you really need to grow all over.
Right.
Or, you need to grow a significant body part. It's probably not the best idea to just
compete again.
Yeah. And also probably not to compete in the fall.
Wait till next year.
Which is like right around the corner, right? Yeah. Like if you're going to compete in November.
You're not going to do much in 3 months.
You're not going to do much in 3 months. So it's like, okay, maybe if you were a natty and then you decided to be not natty.
Oh.
Like maybe in that 3 months, you could change the look of your body for sure. Like, the hardness and the density and things like that. Not that I'm suggesting that. But if you're already enhanced and or you're going to remain natural, jumping right into a prep, like you probably aren't going to make a ton of improvement if you're like on low calories and all that, unless you're juiced out of your head with PEDs.
I think this is also something to say, like to look back at, like if you're a repeat competitor, like look back at how much you grew this year from last year. And you need that much time to grow again.
Yeah.
I've also, I was reading something, I don't remember where I read it from, but they say if you're flat, that might also mean that you need to take an off season and grow some more muscle.
Yeah. So you mean flat on stage?
Yes.
So for those of you that are like, what is flat?
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes you can diet somebody down so much and then the goal is during peak week, you refeed them and carbs, salt, water, store in the muscle, creates more volume.
Great.
So a flat arm can then volumize and look like same thing with glutes, right? Like I saw all week with my athletes. I was like having some of them take fasted photos and then take photos after they had 3 or 4 meals and doing side by sides. And I'm like, your glutes grew like 2 inches.
Right.
After
just by a few carbs.
After like 200 grams of carbs or something,
That's great.
So so sometimes when you're flat, you might also too not have enough muscle. So it's just really, you have to have somebody who like can look at you and be like, no, we need to grow.
Yeah.
Based off of like your frame and symmetry and all that stuff. So, but our girls from last year, that competed this year had made some significant improvements, like in their posing. It's so weird how much like mobility matters, right? Like Erica's front pose looks totally different than last year, right? Like even from her first show, and just watching the metamorphosis from like even just a year.
Well, I mean, the more you do something, the more like it becomes natural.
Yes.
And basically that's what we're doing. We're just practicing it until it becomes more natural.
Yeah. And they looked great. I mean, I had a couple people tell me, wow, you can really tell who's been posed by you. And I just started laughing, when the girls were on the line and they're doing comparisons and stuff. And I had like 2 people tell me that. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But it's, it takes practice.
Posing is, we say this all the time, but posing is probably one of the most important things. If you're going to spend 6 months or, maybe a little bit less getting to the show, you got to know how to show it off.
Yes.
If you don't know how to show it off, it kills the whole package.
Well, it falls flat. So, have an athlete where this happened, right? Phenomenal physique, hands down, like no reason why she shouldn't be placing top 3, in Masters.
Yeah.
And she got feedback that her physique is fine because her conditioning is fine. Her posing was too stiff.
Oh.
And she looked like she felt awkward.
Okay.
Or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but that's why she placed low. And I'm like, this is terrible, right? And like, not like, I'm just saying like for her to have to hear that.
But so fixable.
It's fixable, but like that just is so, I can imagine how frustrating that would feel, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if she's come so far from like day one, because she's sporty, athletic, and now seeing her now, I'm like, she looks like a ballerina now, right? But still, when you get on the line with these girls that know how to pose, and they're like, they've had a dance background or theater or anything, and they love being on stage.
Right.
And then you go up there and you're like, I'm doing this, but I'm not confident here. And it's just written all over your face. Like your body language changes. I hate to say, like when you're in the line, it's kind of a fight.
Oh, it's hell of a fight.
Like you're smiling and shit, but like you're just like next to the girl and you're like, fuck you, bitch.
No, they're looking at me. They're looking at me.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly what I think when I'm up there.
Yeah, and I feel like to be.
I feel like you're not wrong. I mean, with like a dance background, posing just comes easier. If you don't have that doesn't mean you can't get better at it. It just means that you need to practice more.
Yeah. Or like cheerleading even. Like, Stephanie was a cheerleader. You can see it the second she comes on stage, right?
Yeah.
She's got the facials. Right. So you have to snap into like
Beyonce mode per se.
Yes. You have to, because you're not you when you get on stage. You don't even look like you. Okay. So that should be enough indication that you need to have a nickname for yourself when you're in prep. And you need to just become that person when you like are on stage.
Yeah. And then even with, I always tell the girls, find a badass song that makes you feel like the shit. Put that on every time you pose. And then that way you can like hear that song while you're out there. Cause I'm going to tell you right now, the music at the show is going to be fast and you're not going to be wanting to pose that fast.
Yeah. The song that I would listen to on repeat.
Yeah.
Is All I Do Is Win.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Constantly.
Yeah,
like I'm kind of weird like that. Like I will like,
and they played it just when you won?
Yes. And they played it when I won my pro card. And I was like, I mean, of course they're going to play that song. It wasn't like they played it just for me. I mean, they played it because I won my pro card, but it's like I think they were probably playing it for everybody that got their pro card that night.
Well,
But I was listening to that shit on repeat while I was posing and just like, I'm a winner. I'm just like manifesting that.
Actually, I have had people ask me about playlists, and I have a playlist that it's all winning songs. Oh, so when I was in prep, that's all I would listen to while I was on the Stairmaster.
You were definitely positive, Pollyanna.
I was in a zone.
You were in the winner's zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah, so that was fun.
That's aggressive.
We had a good time. Okay.
That's aggressive.
We do have some Q&As that came through. Did we miss anything with competing? Did anything like, I don't know. I feel like we covered all the things. Nothing.
Miss Insta Awesome. She got first, which means she's qualified for nationals. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So great for her. She looked at me and she was like, I'm so happy. And I was like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, we were very happy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So she actually said to me that she wants to, I'm going to tell everybody on the podcast so we can all keep her accountable.
Okay.
All right. When she acting a fool. But she did say she wants to attempt to do nationals next year, Masters Nationals.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Let's do it.
Let's go. So that'll be fun. Okay. We did get some questions in the anonymous box. So I pulled them up here on my computer. Let's start here.
Okay. Off stage thoughts. What if a link in my bikini top breaks while posing on stage? What do you do? And have either of you witnessed this unfortunate malfunction happen? So I actually saw this. I don't believe that the link broke. I'll tell you right now, these things are strong.
You got to hold up the melons.
The diamonds on those bikinis will not break. What's going to break is the
fabric?
The fabric connected to that connector, right? And I did see this at Tahoe show. We were all backstage and the girl's bottom popped.
Oh, shit.
And everybody was like, who has a sewing kit? Blah, 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 blah.
I remember that.
I mean, sometimes the sewing kit comes in handy.
Well, I have that on our packing list.
I know, but at some point I'm like, fuck, do I really need all this shit? And then things like that happen. And then you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I do need all this shit.
Yes. Which, by the way, if you're listening, I will link up in the show notes for the packing list. So if you want a packing list for backstage.
If it's for free, it's for me.
It's super helpful. It's probably excessive and over the top, but like Amanda said, sewing kit is on there.
You never know.
So there is a link there will be a link in the show notes for you to swoop on that.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. I'm having a hard time staying motivated going into my show knowing that I won't win. It's my first show and I'm pretty young in the bodybuilding world, so I don't have a ton of muscle density yet.
What says you're not going to win? And what says you're not going to place? How do you know? You don't know that.
Yes.
Okay. So stop thinking that bullshit.
Correct.
We don't be doing that. That's why I just said my playlist was like, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. So yeah.
Just feeling that.
Do that.
All right. She's going to be positive Pollyanna. I'm going to be
story of my life.
I'm going to be the pessimist here a little bit.
Oh gosh.
Everyone has to do their first show.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is what you believe to be true, which may or may not be, right? We know that bodybuilding is a subjective sport, so that could be true, right? As a very novice beginner person to bodybuilding, within the first year, you're probably not going to have the muscle that somebody does at 5 years. So that's reality, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other considerations to the contest, your beauty, your hair. So like still go in and make sure head to toe everything looks wonderful. Get yourself as conditioned as your coach wants you to for the show. And sometimes this is what we have to do. We have to, because we don't know how much muscle you've built really. I mean, yes, you can go get body fat tested and everything, but like to see it with your own eyes after you've gone through the fat loss process, we want to see, what we're working with. So a lot of times we're like, you just have to do your first show. Everybody did their first show and felt probably exactly like this. And it's like also a note to those that keep procrastinating about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just do it.
Like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I started at however many years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And I kept saying that. I kept saying, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Well, here we are. Okay. Next question.
Have you ever been embarrassed by a competitor that represented you on stage because they weren't as ready as maybe you would have liked?
No. It doesn't embarrass me one bit. I will say that I'm more direct about my expectations for where we need to be to get into a show. So I do give my clients very distinct mile markers, right? Like, this is where we need to be on track, like percentage wise, based off of the show date and what girls are coming in competitive. And then I also have to take into consideration if they're natural or if they're not,
right?
Because those are two different numbers, right? Like someone can come on a lot heavier with more muscle than someone who doesn't. So there's those factors, but I'm very open about what that needs to look like. And as we're getting closer, usually around 6 weeks, 8 to 6 weeks, if we've seen they will know ahead of time. I'll be like, okay, we plateaued this week. We really got to keep it in gear. And I'm like, I'm not making it a surprise by any means. And then I will say I will support your decision if you want to get on stage. However, if I were in your shoes, I would not do this next show.
Right.
And invest all this money and do all the things and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times they'll listen to me. And they're like, thank you for telling me. I don't want to go up there and make a fool of myself or misrepresent your work or whatever. And I'm like, it's less about me. Like you've lost 50 pounds or you've lost whatever. You've had this transformation and I support that. And if this is how you want to celebrate it, I think that's great, but I also want you to know you will likely not place.
Right.
If you aren't looking in comparison to the others.
And with that being said, there's always another show, not to keep pushing your goals out, but you've got to get your ass dialed to get ready for a show.
Yeah.
If you want to be competitive. If you're like, no, we're just doing this as a bucket list, fine, whatever, that's great. More power to you. But you also can't be disappointed with what's going on, because obviously we're going to let you know if you're not ready for the show.
Definitely. Most
long
definitely.
Before the show comes around.
Yes. I have not been embarrassed by anybody who wasn't quote unquote ready. Okay.
Right.
What I have been embarrassed by.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
Is athletes who act like dumbasses backstage.
Right.
And get drunk, and they get drunk in between prejudging and finals, and I have to be a mom. And I'm like, what are we even doing here, Wordles? Is that what you thought I was going to say?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I have.
Or when you have a bad attitude. You hate
I am the
negative
worst.
Nancy's.
I am the worst at that. I understand being disappointed and like, it sucks, but like, hey, it is what it is. Like, I can't take that away from the girl that won, because clearly I can see with my own eyes why she won, right?
Right.
So I never take that personally. I never have all these years, but I never played sports either. And I think a lot of the times, at least the experiences that I've had with people with like not the best attitudes have been used to team sports.
Oh.
Where it's a very distinct, like, we won because we got 10 points and they lost because they got 8. Where like bodybuilding, you think you look fucking great and you know how hard you worked and you're just like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, you won or you lost.
Yes.
One or the other.
And so when I have athletes come off stage and they are looking at me and then like, why didn't I win? Why didn't I place? How come like these judges are stupid? And they start going off and I'm like, no. I was in the audience. Just because you're my athlete doesn't mean I think you should win.
Right.
Never.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I want you to.
We're basically judging as we're watching.
Totally.
My husband is judging as we're watching these days.
We were sitting in the front row and
Yeah.
I was getting footage of my girls and I use it for physique assessments for them post-show as best as I can with their NPC News Online's photos. So after a show, usually a couple weeks, they'll be up and I'll pull everything up and I'll be like, this is why this girl won first. If I had to pretend I'm a judge, and this is why you got third or second or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm very subjective about it. Like, don't have any feelings about what I'm about to tell you, because it is what it is. You're seeing it with me right here with your own 2 eyes.
Right. I mean, you can tell that somebody that's going to win, I mean, there's never really a time where the judging is so far off that you're just like, what happened?
Yeah. It's pretty rare. We've had a couple shows where that's happened. And it was like, you guys were all at a show. What was it? 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before? And then we went to a different promoter's show, and the judging, like,
it was night and day.
It was crazy to me.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening here? So that does happen. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So biggest assumption, you have to be super tall to compete. Coach Glitter proves me wrong. 100%. I am 5 foot and only 3/4 inch every time I've been measured 4 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So your girl ain't growing. She's very short, but I'll tell you right now, us little shorties, we pack on the muscle, y'all.
Yeah.
So it's almost a little bit easier.
It's unfair advantage. You guys have shorter femurs. It's less surface area to have to create muscle tissue.
Hence, why most of us shorties are wellness girls.
And your range of motion, like, you have this far to get to parallel.
It's so great.
It's so unfair, fucker.
You're welcome.
No, you do not have to be super tall to compete at all.
I feel like
we've had some girls like 4'11".
I feel like as a little shorty, I look at the tall bikini girls and I'm like, wow.
It's amazing.
It's crazy to see like their bodies.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like Stephanie looks like she's like 5'9" or something. But I think she just has like really long limbs. Like her arms are really, like, everything is really long. So she just looks like she's super, super tall.
Well, Jen, how tall is Jen?
I think she's 5'8".
Yeah, she's tall and she looks fantastic.
Yeah, and with her shoes,
excited.
She's like 6 foot almost.
I'm so excited for her show.
Okay, actually, this is a good point. So the next question is, if I have naturally long, skinny legs, should I eat in a bigger surplus to add mass? I'm not a competitor, so I don't have to worry about shredding down.
Do you want bigger legs?
It sounds like she wants bigger legs.
Then, yeah.
She should tell Santa.
I asked Santa for all the things too. It's
Tell
okay.
Santa you want some legs.
I would eat more and I would train harder.
Yeah, God, there's so many questions. I know.
I'm just going to say, just like round it out. Eat more and train harder.
Somebody asked.
And if you start feeling like you're a little bit too thick, cut down.
Somebody asked, do the taller girls usually weigh more? Yes. But not always. Right? Like, not always. Stephanie's taller than Tina, and Tina weighs more than Stephanie.
Well, muscle mass makes a difference.
Tina's been lifting for so many more years, right?
Muscle mass makes a difference.
So muscle mass makes a difference. But I mean, generally, it just depends on how much taller.
How much does Tina weigh? 126 or something on stage? 124?
This season she was 126 point. I don't know. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's like 126 point.
I'm 127 pounds on stage, and I am 5 foot, and Tina is 5'4".
Yes,
and Steph is 5'6".
Yes.
Ish.
Yeah. So interesting phenomenon. So this is something, actually a very good learning lesson for those of you listening who've competed before. So our lovely client Tina. So last year, so she's 55.
Who is 56. Tina? You mean Insta Awesome.
Miss Insta Awesome.
Insta Awesome.
Last year, so this is, I think, her 4th or 5th show, but last year her stage weight was 122. Okay.
Right.
This year, her stage weight was 126, and it should have been, yes, you hear me right. It should have been 128 if I had my way.
Right.
Okay. Because I feel like we were still a little too lean, Mama Tina. Okay. We had striations on striations. So this just goes to show you that you can't be attached to your previous stage weight if you had a decent off season. You've continued to lift, you've continued to eat, you weren't like dieting hard. You're going to put on muscle tissue.
My goal is to weigh more every show.
For sure.
Every fucking show.
For sure.
And if I don't, God damn it, what did I do?
Yeah. So it's hard because you're fixated by thinking like you need to be that or smaller. And that's not the truth. We're going for a look. So you have to figure out what that look is and keep it, maintain it, and not go too far either direction. So it was quite a day by day experiment, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But we did great. But yes, to kind of finish the loop on this story,
right?
Anytime that you want to put more muscle mass on your body, you're going to need to be eating in maintenance calories or a slight surplus. It doesn't need to be massive.
Right.
You know, girls who are just trying to look somewhat like the shape of like a bikini wellness figure-ish competitor, most of the general population, unless you are very low body weight.
Right.
You just need to eat in maintenance or a small surplus. There's no need to bulk. Like, that's crazy to me. You know, we just intentionally, we just like food.
We just like food.
But like, don't go around telling people like, oh yeah, I'm bulking for my bikini show.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to come here so I can slap shit out of you. Like, you just need to train and eat and all the things.
Well, yes. Definitely going to weigh more at my next show. 200 cc's with the nude kitties.
Oh yeah. So boobies make them.
I'm 5'10" on both titties and they're 4 pounds together. So about 2 pounds each.
Yeah. So when you get implants, there you go. Your stage weight can go up by 4 pounds. Okay. Question on the gram. That post-show gaining, terrible feeling, fluffy puffy, actually hating how you look when you are gaining. So this is more of like a statement, I feel like. But post-show, in my opinion, is harder than contest prep in a totally different way. It's more of a like, feeling like you're on a slippery slope sometimes with your food. Your hormones are trying to recalibrate. If you did any kind of compounds, PEDs, and then you drop them or fat burners, your system has to recalibrate. And so you just don't feel like yourself for a while.
No.
Your libido is probably all over the place. Your thyroid hormone, depending if, you know, what kind of stimulants you did, you could be crashing off of that and having like really low energy. And then on top of that, you're gaining weight back, which is you're supposed to. But your brain is like, you're fat bitch. Like, and you're like, no, I'm not supposed to. Like, you know, it's like this devil and angel on each shoulder.
It's definitely something that you have to get used to again, you know, because like, depending on how far off you go on your off season, you know, you're putting on like 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds. You know, some of us, they do more than that. But you have to be okay with your body at every point, you know, well, not have to, but your goal is. And then when you're up in that upper range, y'all still like your body most of the time, right? Because we're still lifting, we still have shape. Mm-hmm. However, it's just a little heavier.
Yes. And it can be a challenge because you want to keep that look. And, you know, I think I've said this 1,000 times on the podcast now, but it's not realistic to keep that look whatsoever.
No. Do you want to do all that?
So you know, if you're going too far with like your eating, right, and you're feeling fluffy and puffy, like realistically speaking, like you've put on a ton of weight after the show, you know, that's going to have you feel in a type of way for sure. You're going to feel miserable, and it's kind of like this forward feeding cycle. So you have to really allow yourself to eat normal food, not think that you're going to be super strict and because you're going to lose your shit on the weekends.
Yeah.
And you have to find a balance. And that's really, really hard coming out of a show. It's helpful if you have a coach to help you with that. A lot of people try to get rid of their coach like right after the show. And I'm like, you're going to struggle if you've never done this before. It's worse. You know, some of my girls that have competed a few times, I'm like, okay, I see you in the off season. You don't get too squirrely. Like, you know how to keep it together and you're still training. You're not missing your sessions. Like, a lot of that tends to go to the wayside because your motivation goes way down the shitter sometimes after a show.
Yeah.
You get kind of like post-show blues is what they call it.
Well, funny you say that because this goes to the next question. Ways to deal with the come down after a show.
Yeah, it's a challenge because you had this big goal.
Yeah.
Everything you did all day long revolves around that one day.
For a long time.
For some of my girls were in prep since December. And then the day comes and then, you know, whether you did well, so you may have went through that whole process and not placed it all. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's like a bunch of different emotions.
I feel that.
Sometimes you're excited. You're like, okay, I'm done. I can live my normal life. But a lot of times there's like, you kind of feel
what do I do now? You're lost.
Yeah, because for months, that's all people want to talk to you about.
Correct.
Right. And then you see people now and like, oh, you're not doing a show. And like, you hear all the things.
I hate that.
And then, you know, a lot of girls will just tend to shy away from posting on social media because they don't look shredded anymore. And they were posting like ab selfies, ab checks all the time and stuff. And it's like, you got to show people all sides of it for us to normalize that like the off season is normal. And I think it's because a lot of people in the industry try to hide it.
Well, I feel like a lot of people that post are a lot of people that like continue to do all the things and they stay lean
all the time.
And that is not realistic for some of us.
Yeah. For amateurs that are just competing leisurely, for the fun of it, maybe potentially go to master someday. But when their job as an IFBB pro and they have sponsors, they're Olympians, high level athletes.
It's their job.
They're supposed to look like that year round. So that's for them. But like the rest of us in the normie world, like we have jobs and families and like, not to say that they don't too, but like it's a whole different experience. So you want to make sure you're not trying to maintain that and think that that's normal. You're going to crash and burn. Did you get another one?
I have one. It's a question about walking in the heels.
Walking in the heels. Okay.
Yeah. Practice. What we tell everybody, especially if they're like, I never wear heels. I want you to wear them while you're washing the dishes. I want you to wear them while you're vacuuming the house. I want you to wear them while you're washing your car. I don't care what you're doing. Wear them. The more you wear them, the more comfortable they'll be, the more comfortable you'll get.
You should be taking pictures in your shoes for all your check-ins.
Yes.
If you're in prep.
Yes.
If you're not, like I'll excuse it here and there, but like you still should be doing it. We want to see your body in that position.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to like hold yourself with no heels on, but pretending like you had heels on?
I see my girls do it all the time. They're on their tiptoes.
Yeah, I do it all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but it's much easier to just put the heels on real quick. I know it's difficult, but
I went from flip-flops to 6-inch stilettos. Like,
and then 8-inch stilettos.
Yeah. So it was rough. My feet hurt a lot and it was a pain in the ass. And now I could probably run faster in my stilettos than my flip-flops, if I'm being honest.
Totally. That makes complete sense.
Yeah. So you have to just practice. You have to put them on. You can't be afraid of them. You need to move around in them. Record yourself in them so you can see what you look like.
Yeah.
Ideally, you're going to be working with a posing coach and hopefully you do that more than once so you don't get on stage and, have an awkward presentation.
Right.
Okay, next question. Someone is worried about crickets when they step out on stage. That's normal.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, the best thing that you could do is bring an entourage. If you don't have one, don't worry. Somebody's going to scream for you.
And if they don't, there's other people that are there that are going to have nobody screaming for them too. So it's fine. Like I've done shows and like Crystal was the only one that was with me, right?
Yeah, when you traveled the world.
Yeah, and like she's screaming her head off for me, but I know that like random strangers probably aren't going to clap for me because they don't know who I am. They're there to watch their people, unless it's a pro show or something, and you like are there to watch your favorite pros or whatever. So you just ignore that. You just do your routine. Yeah,
it was a figure pro show, this last show, and Monica was there, and she was losing her mind.
Oh, was she?
She was so fangirling about all the girls, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so cute right now.
Yeah,
she's like, I just want to be them. And I was like, yes, that's right.
Yeah, they were pretty ripped. More on reverse dieting. This question says the reverse. I'm currently in it, and it is so much harder than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with the reverse diet, I call it a recovery diet. I just think we need to get into recovery mode. A lot of my girls lose their periods. It's pretty normal. And so my goal is that we get that back in the first like 3 months, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes longer, like this one over here.
Hi.
So I'm like, we go into recovery mode, right? It makes you think like I'm recovering my body from this extreme thing that I just did to it for 7 months.
Right.
Right? Not like, oh, I'm trying to reverse my body into a normal body. No. We're recovering, and whatever happens to your body, we're going to embrace that in the process, and it's going to be a slippery slope. Recovery is a slippery slope. Okay.
It is. Yes. It is 100%. And you know what? I was just talking about this in a check-in today, that it was like, after coming back from surgery, all the things, it's like, it's super mental and hard to turn yourself back to being like the person that you were before when you were losing the weight before, right? Mm-hmm. You're always like, what did I do before? How did I do that before? And, there's always like, there's a mental aspect to it that it's really hard to get back after you've been out of the gym, in surgery, injured, anything like that, a vacation. Mm-hmm. Coming back is always difficult.
Definitely. I mean, coming back after COVID, coming back after boobies, like all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the reverse, you just have to, like I was just doing a check-in for an athlete today, and I just said, I know it's a challenge because I understand. Mm-hmm. This is how I strategize your meal plan. So you need to stick to that as much as you're fighting it internally, kicking and screaming. You want to go have crumble at like 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like stick to your meal plan in these orders with these foods in this order, because your problem is nighttime snacking, or at nighttime when you eat, you can't stop. So I placed this meal specifically here with these macronutrients to like kind of blunt that from getting out of hand. And then hopefully you're not doing as much damage at nighttime.
I feel like you're talking about me.
Talking about you, Missy. Yeah. So there is some ways to like make it better, but you're still gonna likely have a moment struggle and fall into the the cookie jar or whatever, and it will.
Oh my
get
gosh!
better.
I was just saying, I still want to buy those stupid Oreos.
I'm just gonna give you some. I have some under my counter.
No.
Oh my
it's gonna make me go to the store and I'm gonna buy a box and I'm gonna eat the whole box. I can't. I feel like. Did you hear that? I was all.
You were having a moment. You're having a hot flash over some Oreos over here.
Oh God.
I love it.
I'm like, listen, bitch, you're a week out from wearing a bikini. Like, stop that. Why are you thinking this way?
Quit fantasizing about the Oreos.
I can't help it. They're just so sexy.
Next, we'll make this the last one because this is the last good one. Okay. How do you typically maximize the show day look for other business avenues, i.e. photo shoots, sponsorships, and networking? Well, a lot of times for sponsors and stuff, they just want to know that you've competed. They don't necessarily like need you to look like that all the time. I mean, I've had sponsors. I know girls that have big name sponsors. Why are you laughing?
Jen really wants Cheez-Its.
Oh, yeah.
I love you.
With that, you just have to, share your portfolio. I think it's important if you want to represent a company, and this is just like my professional opinion, that is involved in something like bodybuilding, where that's a specific aesthetic and an avatar that they're trying to market to, right? So let's just say bodybuilding.com, it would probably be to my advantage to remain somewhat fit looking, with some kind of definition and things like that, but not necessarily stage lean. I don't think that they're looking for that because that doesn't appeal to the market, right?
Right.
So like when I was buying Muscle and Fitness or Oxygen magazine, the girls on the cover did not look like they were stage ready.
Right.
They looked amazing, but they're probably like 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out, right? Or something in that nature.
I feel like we've talked about this before, but like that is not your best body. You're picking yourself apart so bad when you're super close to show that you don't even like it anymore. Plus, you're super duper lean. Your face is like super tiny. Okay. And it's not, I feel like it's not your best look. You look beautiful when you're made up and all of that. But when, you're like 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out, probably your best look.
For sure. So
best look.
To that point, if you think about the question, my man is dropping in love bombs over here.
I see this.
Think about the question, right? So a sponsor, when they're looking for somebody like a model for their stuff, they're going to want something that appeals to the majority of the audience, right? So like Mrs. Jones in the grocery store cruising by, Muscle and Fitness, hers, is not going to want to see a shredded out, peeled, striated woman on the cover if she's just like barely getting into fitness and wants to dabble in things and like buy that, right? She's not going to likely gravitate towards that.
Right.
So that's usually what gets people in, is like the more marketable look where they look just fit, or like they'd be cute in a bikini on the beach. And then you look inside the magazine and in the back, you'll see like the competition coverage and things like that. But, and even photo shoots. Like I tell my girls, you should not be trying to do photo shoots like 1 week out. It's not cute.
No.
I mean,
I actually have
some
one.
Of you, but
I have one, you guys, and I really don't ever share those photos.
Yeah, I always
We did the one at the studio. I never share those photos.
I don't feel like I've seen those.
They're something else.
Yeah, because it's just not, I don't know.
It's
aggressive. I don't like my 3 weeks, 4 weeks out body for photo shoots.
No.
I want to see like a little definition of abs and like some definition in my arms, but I don't want to be like veined out, looking like all crazy and shit.
Bob, go to sleep. Tell Bob to go to sleep.
What is my face turns into? What's his name?
The Crypt Keeper.
The Crypt Keeper.
Is that what you were going to say?
That's terrible. I was going to say Steven Tyler, but kind of the same.
I mean, you look like Steven Tyler anyway.
I kind of do. It's my 5 head. It's fine. All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What are we talking about next week?
Vegas.
Party time, Coco Bungo,
Coco party.
I look like a roadmap. Yeah, my veins my veins are out of control right now. That's on my forehead. That's it.
No, she looks like a roadmap.
She does too, but I usually like in prep, my forehead veins turn into something else. But anyhow, that was very lovely. Thank you for joining us. And also remember, if you need the packing list, we have a backstage packing list. It's very extensive, but you'll be well prepared for your first show. Sorry, am I poking you in the face?
I'm gonna just
I will link it up in the show notes. You give me your email. I won't spam you. I don't eat spam. I don't send spam. And then I'll send you that.
I've never had spam.
This is disgusting.
Oh.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boss bitch. Wait. Before you go, boss bitches, real quick. I know we've just reached the end of another awesome episode of Boss Bitch Radio, and I'm hoping that you're having a blast listening to us and learning with us. But guess what? The fun does not have to stop there. If you are hungry for more things boss bitchery, fitness goodness, all the mindset stuff, all of the things that keep you motivated, you need to sign up for my newsletter. I know, I can't believe we've gone over 150 episodes and I have not mentioned once for y'all to be signing up for my newsletter, because I've had a newsletter for 16 years. Every week I send out some content. Usually it's a wrap up of some of the podcast episodes with some snippets in there that's bite sized that you can carry with you in your little pocket. But you wouldn't know unless you joined. All the cool bitches be on my newsletter list, and then you can just reply and we can chat. Those all go back to me, like it is me. I do write the things. So I would love to continue to motivate you outside of this podcast. I would love to pop into your inbox occasionally. No worries. I'm not going to spam you. I don't eat spam. I'm not going to send spam. But there will be some LOLs and some content that you won't want to miss. So join our Boss Bitch tribe. I'm going to link up the newsletter list sign up form in the show notes, which if you haven't taken a peek at the show notes, you should probably do that. There's some good ass links in there. There's some discounts, fun shit. Go find the email newsletter link, put your name on there, and every week I'll be whispering sweet nothings to you in your inbox. And it's a great way for us to stay connected outside of the podcast. All right, I'll see you in your inbox soon.